doing the PEMF is such a great way to increase that cellular charge up to, it's not going to be 100% necessarily with one time, but you're going to get that increased cellular charge. So it's like I said, I often tell people it's like charging your phone in. We got to charge ourselves in too. We have to do that because if we don't, we're going to find ourselves at zero and then we're going to be reactive.
Yeah.
And this is not about reactive.
Welcome to the PEMF Effect, where breakthrough science helps take control of your health. I'm Dr. William Pollack, and I'm here to guide you in tapping into the power of PEMF therapy for recovery, vitality, and total body wellness. From overcoming chronic pain, optimizing brain health, boosting energy, and aging with strength, this podcast is your path to cutting-edge solutions for lifelong well-being. If you're ready to move beyond symptom management and tap into your body's natural healing ability, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Today's episode was previously recorded on the Pain Solutions Summit that I hosted.
Hi, this is Rizwan Lakhani with the drpollack.com team. And today I'm here with Dr. Jennifer Nelson-Hawkes. And Dr. Nelson-Hawkes is the founder and director of Simply Health Collective, which is a very cool place that offers a lot of innovative therapies. And among those therapies is PEMF therapy. So we're here today to talk about all things PEMF. And Dr. Nelson-Hawkes, welcome and thank you so much for joining us on this conversation today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so we are both practitioners who use PEMF with patients in our day-to-day practice, so that kind of gives us a cool perspective. But before we talk about that, I'm very curious in how you became involved with PEMF therapy and how you learned about it, because it's one of those things that it's still not really widely known in the public, is it?
Right. No, that is so true. And people are finding out about it more and more. So I came across it actually through a different device called the Hocket. At that time, so I've owned my own practice for the last going on 10 years now. And when I started as a practitioner, I knew that I wanted to have that one-on-one with my clients, but I also knew that I couldn't just do everything by myself. It's not just about, offering a supplement or changing their diet. The way that our day and age is, sometimes we need that extra boost of something to, create the body to be able to do what it's designed to do. And so when I was looking at starting my wellness center, I was looking at devices that I could that could really be utilized for everyone. And at the time, I needed to have the biggest umbrella, the biggest bang for the buck when I started. And so I started out with the Hocket, which is a full body detox machine that has the Hugo attached to it, which is the PEMF. But as time has gone on, love the device, we found that the Hugo, the PEMF that we have, is even more supportive for the body in variations of different ailments that people have. They don't just need to be in the Hocket for the detoxification purposes, but we use it daily in and out separate from that machine now. So that's been very eye-opening and very cool to see.
Very cool. Okay, so you kind of made your way and found PEMF after starting off with other wellness devices and looking to support people with detox and health, which interestingly enough, PEMF therapy also does sort of help facilitate detoxification in the body.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I always find myself telling patients about in the beginning when we start is when we do high intensity PEMF therapy, you will feel it working in the body, but what to expect afterwards can sometimes involve detoxification and you have to be really well hydrated. So very cool. And so how long have you been actually using the PEMF therapy in your clinic?
I've been using it for the last 5 years. So it's been, and now it's a piece, it's truly one of those puzzle pieces that I can't be without. I mean, if I were to dissolve my entire practice, it would be one of those pieces that come with me. I have a couple of those gems and that is one of them, just because it enhances everything. You've got you've got cellular enhancement, you've got the recovery, you've got increasing metabolism. I mean, it really does so much.
Yeah. I find that to be the case as well. I think it's cool how you describe looking for things that provide a lot of value, when you may not be able to be there in person. And so, my background is more in acupuncture. And of course, we have to be there present with the patient to place needles and remove.
Absolutely.
But when I started to add in PEMF therapy, I was able to do more for folks and actually help more people by combining the two treatments and have something that could be a little less, more unattended.
Right. Well, and that's the one thing I do love about it is because it can be used in conjunction with everything. There's not anything that whether it's a detoxification or whether it is for, that electrical charge, that restimulation of the cells, different ailments are truly incredible. I mean, it enhances it so much, but the key piece, you said this just a second ago, is the hydration piece.
Yeah.
They've got to be hydrated.
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have to tell you a quick funny story. It's not really funny, but I had an individual come in and she was like, I'm just not been feeling well. I want to do the Hugo, the PEMF mat. And I said, no problem. And, I asked her a couple of little questions. I mean, what I failed to ask her is what did she do last night? Because what happened is she got on the PEMF mat and it started to recirculate, like it created that electrical charge, started to recirculate the lymphatic system, calming the nervous system down. And she actually left here feeling rather ill. And I thought, what did I do wrong? What happened? Mm-hmm. She had been at a major party the night before and it just recirculated all of those toxins. Yeah. And she, we weren't prepared. So lesson learned, I had to learn that lesson a little bit the hard way of, okay, it's doing way more than we see up at that surface level.
Yeah.
It's going much deeper than that.
Right. Yeah, it definitely does a lot of deeper work in the body during, but
it was that detox and her body wasn't prepared for that. Yeah. So that hydration piece came into play.
Right. So now everybody is told, make sure you drink water. We tell them multiple times. They probably get sick of it, but we got
so much. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you tired of living with chronic pain? Medication only masks the symptoms, but real healing starts at the cellular level. I'm Dr. William Pollack, the leading expert on PEMF therapy. Pulsed Electromagnetic Field therapy is a science-backed, drug-free solution that helps reduce pain, speed up recovery, and improve overall health, right from the comfort of your home. Take advantage of an exclusive 10% discount on drpollack.com PEMF systems. Visit drpollack.com, that's drpawluk.com, to register and claim your savings. This limited time offer is available only to registered listeners. Don't miss your chance to experience the benefits. Terms and conditions do apply. Don't just manage pain, transform your health. Visit drpollack.com today and let's get started on your healing journey together.
Now, do you also use PEMF therapy yourself at all?
Oh, absolutely. It is the reality is our Hugo mat is a 12-minute session. There's many different variations of PEMF out there, but ours specifically, it's so convenient. It's so easy. In fact, every single one of my staff members, we use it on a pretty much day-to-day basis that we're in the office. And for variations of reasons. I mean, it doesn't have to be for anything other than, for me, when I get on it, I get that energetic charge. I feel amazing. Yeah. Other people get on it and their entire system just calms right down. Yeah. And they feel more of that Zen state. So it's, it does increase. I don't know. I love it. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's one of those very unique things. Like, it's almost hard to describe, and people just have to come and sort of experience it to feel what it's like.
Yes.
And of course, with a device like the Hugo, it's something that's actually strong enough to get your muscles to jump and move without you actually making that movement happen.
Right.
That's always really interesting and fascinating to see the areas that are more responsive in the patient, because oftentimes they might be there wanting to work on a particular thing, but then the magnetic field therapy reveals other areas of distress or inflammation. Yeah. Did you ever encounter that at all?
Yes, actually, that it happens 9 times out of 10 where they come in and they've got some back pain or they've got something else going on, but it always 9 times out of 10, it goes to their stomach, right? That's where they feel it. They feel it in their liver, or they feel it in their large intestine or small intestine. And they're like, why is it over here when I feel pain, mentally, I have pain in my right arm? Why am I feeling this in my stomach? And, explaining to them that there is some dysregulation going on there. And, we call it our scavenger. It's scavenging. It's going through the body looking for where there is disruption, where there is inflammation. And it's going to go there before it goes to where we mentally feel that it needs to go to sometimes.
Right. Yeah. And so like, that's actually one of the things I so love about it is like, you get the opportunity to work on the exact thing or issue that you want to, give treatment to, but then you can also do full body treatment, which just kind of takes care of everything at once. Right. And then,
Absolutely.
it's almost like insurance, you're kind of staying ahead. You're not waiting for things to break down. You're just regularly doing this self-care that works down to the cellular level. So all of your tissues benefit and you're able to function and perform more, closer to peak level.
Absolutely. Because they feel that pulse, they feel it wherever they feel it. But then they get up and they're like, oh gosh, my arm doesn't hurt like it did. My knee doesn't hurt like it did, or I don't have the leg pain that I had, or whatever it is, whatever that ailment was. So but during the session, that's not where they felt the pulse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what's so great about it, is because it is covering the entire body.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have the same thing happen in our office. Like me and my staff here will often like try to get in on the table between folks or like, let's keep share. So, but yeah, I mean, it makes such a difference, it helps us to maintain energy. And I know, like, for instance, another thing is every time that I do PEMF therapy, I will sleep better. And not only do I know that from how I feel, but from my tracking, I get to see my numbers, and just about every time I get better, deeper sleep. I don't wake up as much. My HRV is better. So it's just interesting to see like all these other ancillary effects that you may not really expect.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And, I do chalk that up going back to the nervous system, right? Mm-hmm. Being able to be in the parasympathetic nervous state, or allowing for the body to drop down into that state rather than being in the sympathetic fight or flight response, your HRV is going to come down. Your sleep is going to improve. Your energy is going to be enhanced. Right. So, yeah.
And then like everything else just kind of will fall in line.
It just falls into suit.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing, is it all just falls into suit. When the body is essentially vibrating, if you will, in the right patterns, everything is going to just kind of follow that vibration out, which is awesome.
And we need enough charge to make it happen. And so when we don't have that, then we can do certain things like improve diet and exercise and meditate. But PEMF therapy is a more novel way to make it happen, to use technology to facilitate it. And I think one of the key messages for folks that are watching this is to understand that this is available and accessible. It's out there. You can go and experience PEMF therapy with a practitioner like yourself, and ultimately even have your own device to be able to use at home regularly. One of the things that Dr. Pulsed has written about a lot is like how every household should have this. And I find myself saying that a lot to people, use it for your problems, but use it to, keep the problems away as well. And everyone can benefit.
Absolutely. That prevention aspect of it. And the reality is we have stressors every single day, right? We cannot get away from them, whether it's radiation, whether it's environmental, or whether it's, interrelationships. It doesn't matter. Our bodies are stressed from something. And so being able to down-regulate that stress and allow for the body to be at its optimal level is key. And I agree with that. If you have it in your home and are able to use it every day, I mean, you're so many steps ahead.
Right.
And even if you can't have one in your home, if you can find a practitioner and do it once a week. I have a great story, actually. Her body wasn't making neutrophils. She had a history of cancer. She was in remission, but her body just wasn't making the white blood cells. Yeah. And she had read online about PEMF. And so she was in our area, came in, was doing PEMF twice a week. The time that's the time that she could allow herself to be in here was twice a week. Mm-hmm. And she was she had been on all the medications to try to get these neutrophils going, and things just weren't working right. Being on the mat twice a week for less than a month, her neutrophils were perfect levels.
Wow.
Her doctor took her off all meds, and we're like, what in the world is going on? This is amazing.
Yeah.
Like when you see those success stories like that, it's just like, this is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
You know, she's living a better, more fulfilled life and not having to worry about the fact that her immune system has been disrupted, that just by adding that one piece helps so much.
Yeah. And for most people, like you already kind of talked about, it'll be a relatively meditative experience, and you can relax, you can let that nervous system shift and be more into the parasympathetic, where
Absolutely.
healing can actually take place. And yeah, life is a process of dealing with all this stress and then hopefully letting go of most, if not all of it. But I mean, especially these days more than ever, it seems like the sources of stress are just increasing. And, I often think about like our mobile devices and how they were supposed to make life easier. But
Yeah.
kind of
They do make life easier in so many regards, but they have literally catapulted the intensity of everything else.
Yeah. And whoever would have thought, and so to have a tool that can really help to undo some of the stress we incur from that is great.
Yeah.
So I'm also curious about, are there other therapies that you use in your office? It sounds like the PEMF is pretty much something that you're utilizing daily. What other kind of things do you do to help patients?
Well, we do actually quite a few things, but one of the other ones I actually love is called the biocharger, which also has it has a PEMF aspect to it. So it uses Tesla, PEMF, photon, and Rife frequencies at a high voltage charge. And so, with the Hugo, people feel the pulsing of the PEMF. On this machine, you actually sit in front of it and you're subjected to that high voltage energy. So that's also a great way to increase, the cellular charge of the body. I talked about the Hocket. I think I have a lot of different therapies, but the Flowpresso is probably next to one of my favorite that we have here. And the Flowpresso uses a light compression with a far infrared heat to move the lymph of the body.
Oh, okay.
So, you're moving that stagnant energy. Yeah. But I love to use it in combination with the PEMF. I put people on the PEMF first for that cellular recharge, and then I put them in the Flowpresso to get that stagnation aspect moving. And that combination has been incredibly beneficial.
Okay, fascinating. So it's like really sort of facilitating that internal movement of the body so that...
Absolutely, because that's where all the toxic loads are stored. They get stored in our joints, in our brain, in our organs, in our tissues, everywhere. So you get that movement happening while the body is supported. So that PEMF creates that support for the body before they go into this state. And they literally, people come out and are just like, what happened to me? Absolutely feel incredible.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I joke around, that getting PEMF, especially the high intensity, you feel it.
Yes.
The closest you can get to a power nap,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I laid on there yesterday and I just was like, oh my gosh, the vibration of it alone. And it was just in this specific, so not always is it in a cycle, but yesterday I just happened to feel this little cycle of it. And it was all digestion. And I literally was like, no, it stopped. And I was like, please keep going. And it felt so good. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely, we have run some pretty long sessions as well. And yeah, it's marvelous. It's very unique. So
it's very unique. That's what I do love about it.
Yeah. And like our part of our role is to educate people about these things because they might be coming in looking for a specific answer to a question or the specific problem that they have an idea how it needs to be treated. But, when we expose them to this new way of being able to actually work on themselves, I think that opens a lot of doors for folks. And so for people who have not been able to try PEMF therapy, certainly I recommend going online and finding someone you could try this with.
You talked about sleep earlier. And, I oftentimes, when my clients come in, we have a conversation about where their internal battery is, right? Because our cell phone battery gets to 20% and we start to panic. We have to plug it in, right? But when our internal battery gets down to 20%, we push harder.
That's right.
We can fight through. But what that's doing inside is so the opposite effect of what we needed to be doing, right? We're creating all the free radical damage. We're creating the lack of sleep, the high HRV, all those elements that we don't want to have happen are happening. And so doing the PEMF is such a great way to increase that cellular charge up to, it's not going to be 100% necessarily with one time, but you're going to get that increased cellular charge. So it's like I said, I often tell people it's like charging your phone in. We got to charge ourselves in too. We have to do that because if we don't, we're going to find ourselves at zero and then we're going to be reactive.
Yeah.
And this is not about reactive.
When I first heard that analogy about the cell phone and we charge our devices, we need to charge ourselves. I didn't really love that analogy at first, but like the more I kind of ponder on it, it's really the one that makes the most sense.
Your body was designed to heal, but illness, chronic disease, stress, injury, and time can slow that process down. What if you could restore your body's natural ability to recover, recharge, and feel its best? The key to healing is giving your body the energy to repair itself. PEMF therapy does exactly that. Recharging your cells, improving circulation, reducing inflammation, and helping you function at your best. For decades, I've studied this technology, worked with hundreds of medical professionals, and helped thousands of people reduce pain, regain energy, and take control of their health. However, not all PEMF devices are created equal. No one size fits all. We offer personalized consultations so you can find the right device for your needs, backed by real science and trusted results. If you're ready for a real solution, let's talk. Schedule a consultation at drpawluk.com. That's PRPAWLUK.com, because real healing starts at the cellular level.
It's the one that everybody can connect with.
Yeah.
That's what I find. So it's not the best analogy out there, but it's the one that we all are like, oh yeah, I do know when my battery gets down and we're like, I got to find a charger to plug this thing in.
Right. Yeah. Right? You got to close all those apps and, clean everything and shove it down, like really power it down every now and then.
But if you think about like the human body, that's changing your diet. That's making sure you're getting enough, hydration. That's making sure you're moving. That's making sure that you're not putting, tons of chemicals on your body. That's making sure that your stressors are balanced. Right. So it's the same but very different, if you will. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you use the PEMF therapy a lot for detoxification. And are there any other particular like symptoms, like if somebody comes in with a specific problem that you're like, oh yeah, we definitely need to do PEMF for that?
Yeah, outside of detoxification in my community, I'm in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So we have extreme athletes around here.
Okay.
And then we also have older generations that are out doing the extreme things that maybe they shouldn't be, So people will come in and they're like, do you have any CBD oil? Because I have I think I sprained my arm. I'm like, let's actually put you on the mat.
Yeah.
So I think a lot more of recovery. I also have a lot of young athletes that come in that use the PEMF. So I would say more on the athletic realm.
Right. Makes sense.
From the detox realm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because musculoskeletal pain, of course, is a huge problem, and the chronic pain as well. And PEMF therapy is really good for that because, of course, like you've been saying, our charge diminishes. And if you have an injury, everything's operating with less charge. So then if you can deliver the charge, you're really optimizing the ability to heal and quicken healing.
Exactly.
It's funny. One thing that comes up sometimes in conversation with patients when we're educating them about PEMF, we'll tell them like, hey, for instance, the PEMF therapy has been FDA approved for something like bone healing, right? I think that was the first FDA clearance for PEMF was for non-union fracture healing. And it's kind of like, okay, you wait for the bone to not heal. And then, all right, now we're going to do PEMF therapy on it. So we know that it will heal. But you could totally have just done the PEMF therapy from the beginning prevented it from becoming a non-union, quickened the healing, so hopefully that's the direction we're heading in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like to think of all the things that I do have here as prevention, as a preventative source of support versus waiting till it's a reaction, right? So because if we do start it, they come in and they're like, I've got a broken leg, I've got this, I've got that. Let's start that process right now, because that's just going to speed everything up for the support that the body needs. And it's not just, the beautiful thing is, they're on the mat for their leg, for instance. But again, going back to, we're still supporting them at that cellular level for digestion, for parasympathetic nervous system, for any and everything else that they may need that they just don't quite connect the dots.
Right.
So it's supporting everything.
Yeah. And I think one of the things we didn't specifically discuss is part of the reason that happens is because of blood circulation.
Correct.
We're getting blood circulating throughout the body much more easily and freely. And so then, just like with sleep, with blood flow, you start to get this big cascade of positive changes.
Right.
The older we get, the harder it is to experience that.
That's exactly right. And that's why I love so much to add it to the flow presso.
Yeah.
It's because of that. It's because of that vascular change, that circulatory aspect of it. But yes, that is exactly why that happens.
So you mentioned that the one case that you had with the woman who wasn't making neutrophils, you were having her come in twice per week. Is that a pretty typical treatment plan for most PEMF therapy?
So for what, I try, if I can get my patients in here at least once a week, if not 2 to 3 times a week. That's my average. That's what I like to see.
Yeah.
A lot of times people just can't quite make that time, or for whatever reason. So then I say, okay, if you can't do that, let's do it once a week for as many weeks as possible.
Okay.
And try to facilitate it that way.
Yeah, I find that also to be the case where like once a week often is not enough. And, but sometimes they're limited by time and you just have to do what you can.
Yeah.
But really, it's when they're able to come in 2 to 3 times a week, a lot like what a physical therapist might say, or, that's where we kind of get a lot of momentum and can get more change.
And I really do like that. Like, if they're going to be able to come in 3 days a week, I like to do it on a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday. I like to have that day in between to allow some body self-regulation to happen.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Let the body integrate and such.
Yeah.
So this is sort of just an interesting question. I'm curious. So if you were to get yourself another PEMF device, would you get another Hugo, or would you be open to exploring something else?
No, I would absolutely be open to exploring other things. And the reason is because, the reality is the Hugo came with the Hocket, right? And that's how I was introduced to it. In fact, I'm considering on doing some change up here, which would eliminate the Hocket from my practice, which would I would probably bring in a couple of PEMF devices.
Okay.
One that might be stationary and the one that might be able to travel.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm looking at, like, as the future unfolds, right? And that's where my mind is going with that. Because that is one of the things I just don't want to be without.
Right. Yeah, same here.
PEMF.
Like my specialty is acupuncture, and like I would say the same thing though, that I need my PEMF, and it does some similar work to what the acupuncture needles can do. It will stimulate acupuncture points and even the tissues and cells that are deeper than the points are.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely, that it's a must have. And I think that strategy of maybe having like, one more stationary device and another more portable one, that covers your bases and gives you more versatility.
Well, that's exactly. And, as COVID has changed the world for many, I'm doing a lot more moving around than I am being stationary in my brick and mortar on a day-to-day. So that just allows me to be able to take it with me if I'm seeing clients in a different city or different state or whatever that looks like. But because of the enhancement of it, because of what it does for the human body, it's a win-win either way.
Are there any other interesting cases that come to your mind? Any other, cool stories at all?
I think just the other one, not as far as like these two cases, but the athletes, the young athletes.
Yeah.
It's so amazing to watch these young athletes. And I think what I love about it most is that the younger the person is, the less ego they have to go with. They're not attached to anything, if you will.
Right.
And so, sometimes you'll get somebody on there and they're like, I don't know what this is doing. I don't feel anything. It's not doing anything. But when you actually watch the PEMF shape an athlete into their in their performance aspect, it is so awesome to watch. And so again, more of the prevention aspect of making sure that their body is viable and ready to perform at their optimal level for game nights. We literally have a swinging door for these athletes to come in. It's so great. But, that's not a particular case, but it is a generalized case of recovery.
Yeah. I've seen that too. I've had a couple of experiences with professional athletes, but then also more like local athletes. And even at the high school level, a lot of folks have, come in with all kinds of various injuries. And, sometimes with these kids, even though, their mind is a little more open, what I find is a lot of times they are going all out. They're giving it their 110%.
Yes.
And, but they're still growing and,
Yes.
Sometimes the mind is kind of making them do inappropriate things, exerting way too much. So then we're able to kind of do more to help reset some of that. And
that's why I say when they come in and they don't have that ego of what is this thing doing, they're like, this makes me perform better. I don't know what it does, but I feel so much better, and it is a lot of that circulation.
Right.
It is the circulatory aspect of it and the recovery, the healing piece.
Yeah.
The lactic acid is no longer pliable in their extremities. And yeah, they feel good. They get a great night's sleep.
Yep.
I know. All of that.
Yeah. So
here's another thing. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just thought about this.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So, I have to actually lock my dog out of the room when I get on the mat. Because inevitably she will come and jump up on top of me. So in Hugo, you're sandwiched between the two mats, right?
Right.
And so she'll come up on top of me and lay on top of me while I'm on it. She loves the vibration of it. And so it's not just for humans. Like, this is also fantastic for animals. Anything living.
All life. That's right.
All life.
Yeah.
All life.
There have been studies that show, what happens when you expose plants to certain magnetic fields and see the magnetic fields. And I've definitely like the animals as well. Just the other day, we had somebody here who she was actually here for her dog.
Yeah.
And, I'm not actually authorized to do acupuncture on animals in my state. So I was, and they actually were here for a PEMF consult because they had heard about us from a friend.
Yeah.
So of course, after evaluating, it was like, yeah, we pretty much need to start doing something. And they were together doing treatment in the back, and it was so cool. They're just both hanging out in the same bed. And, the dog kind of moved around and shifted a little bit.
Yeah.
But I've heard of this before with other folks that own devices. They're like, yeah, they always want to hang out with me while I'm on it.
I'm like, no, this is my time. I'll let you get on here by yourself. But and this is a puppy. I had an older dog that I would pull off. I would pull it and put it on the floor. And she would lay on it on the floor. I'd have to sit in the room with her. If I left the room, she would leave the mat. But it's incredible to watch, like, because they don't know what's going on. They just know they feel it and they like it. It feels really good to them. Right. So they're just like, they're looking at you like, Mom, what is happening here? But it's, very interesting. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, we see that sometimes with acupuncture too. Like when I've observed acupuncture done on certain animals, you can see the shift and you see them relaxing and, they're intuitively, they know that something good is happening.
Yeah.
And with PEMF, I feel like it's similar, but it's just doing that deeper work. Now you got this therapy going through their entire body.
Yeah. But I just thought that was so cool just to like the first like 3 to 4 times that I had her. I just got her a couple months ago. I was like, what are you doing? No, get off of me right now.
Well, another interesting thing that comes up in the world of acupuncture is like there are many people who have their pets or, their family pets, dogs, cats, or like, around where I have my practice, there's a lot of people with horses. Like people will be getting acupuncture treatments done on all these animals, and they may not even be doing these treatments for themselves. But
Yes.
like how many folks are dealing with issues where they have to be back and forth to the vet, or they have to spend a lot of money for these specific health problems. And
Yeah.
a PEMF device could be very valuable. It could do a lot of work for a variety of things, so I think as people learn more about that, hopefully they see that opportunity as well, that it's not just for us humans, even though that
Right.
we
Yeah. Yeah.
specialize in. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's a great point. Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, because animals certainly will heal faster with
They
PEMF too.
they really will. Absolutely. And they love it. They absolutely love it.
Yep, yep. And humans love it too when they have a chance to try it out.
Yes, of course we do.
The first time I ever did PEMF, it was on a low intensity system. And so I actually didn't really feel anything going on. And, it was like, it was very short. It was like an 8-minute treatment. And actually, I hadn't had a chance at that point to really look into what PEMF is. But it was somebody who had offered to come by and do a demo. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I didn't really feel much, but my curiosity was piqued enough to say, all right, I got to look into this. And, I saw some brochures and it was talking about microcirculation. I said, all right, this seems like it's some good stuff. It seems like there's overlap with what I do already to help people with acupuncture. But, the first time I got on a high intensity PEMF device, that was like, whoa, this is something
Game changer.
totally different. Yeah. And I even tell people, I'm like, yeah, I can't even really describe it. Like, you got to just feel it and see what it's like.
Yeah. And I think that, I think more and more because of all the stressors in our life, we need to feel something. We need to know we are humans. We like instant gratification.
You're right.
And so when we can feel that charge happening in our body, and we can feel the upregulation and, the circulation aspect of everything, we're more apt to come back and do it again, because we felt or saw that change immediately.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes I've had it happen where you'll be doing the full body PEMF, but the patient's only feeling it in one particular place. And
Yes.
it happens to be a place that they've injured before or that's been causing them problems.
Yep.
And that's even more like, yep, that it's actually doing what it needs to do, where it needs to be done.
That's right. And that's the beautiful thing, is it's intelligent like that. It's your body and they're in such they are best friends. They're in such communication that they're just working together.
Yep. That synergy. Yeah. I like
the synergy with you just got to relax and just let it do its job.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so this has been an awesome and fun conversation, and I definitely learned a lot to talking with you. Before we conclude, is there anything else that you wanted to add at all, or bring up about PEMF?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so. It literally just, like, when you asked me earlier about would I stick with the Hugo or would I get a different machine, I'm just like, I really need to get that traveling one sooner than later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the systems, they do make like the same model in a clinical version and a portable version.
Yeah.
And like for me, some of the devices I've got, I ended up getting a little carry case that's like kind of sturdy, so I know that it'll be in there well, and if you drop it or something, it's protective.
Fine.
So yeah, but I mean, if you can take it to the people, then then it's even more empowering.
That's exactly right. And it also shows them that we are able to move it, right? You can take it anywhere you want with you.
Right. Yeah. When I first started working with Dr. Paula, one of the things about his philosophy that stood out to me was that you don't have to go to somebody to get this. Of course, when you start, you're going to do that. You're going to go to your clinic, but you're not bound by that, right? So once you get started, you have the path ahead is wide open.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the prevention aspect is unlimited at that juncture.
I can't think of an easier way to do prevention. Like I've thought about this before. Like there's so many ways to do prevention. We're constantly telling people you got to do prevention, but it's like, how do I really do something that I know is really helping everything? And I can't think of a way other than PEMF therapy that just gets it all.
Yeah. No, I can't agree more with that. And I think that I don't think it's just you and I think if anybody that's associated with PEMF is going to feel that way.
Too many really good stories, turnarounds to ignore it. So we spreading this message.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you so much. It was so fun to talk to you.
Yeah, same here. And it's nice to know that we've got folks like you out there doing all this. And we look forward to talking with you again soon. Thanks again.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
For joining us. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me on the PEMF Effect. I hope today's conversation gave you new tools, insights, and inspiration to take control of your health. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit from PEMF therapy and holistic healing. Your body has the power to repair, recover, and thrive. Sometimes it just needs the right charge. Until next time, stay curious, stay proactive, and keep powering up to better health.